We need to find a way to fix the broken immigration system. I have never met one immigrant that has told me, I came to America looking for benefits.
Talking to Jose Mallea, he is the CEO of the LIBRE Initiative.
The LIBRE Initiative is an organization that's educating the Latino community on a national level on the principles of economic freedom, first and foremost, right? That's what we do. We engage the community directly across the country, and we present programs to help them to understand what economic freedom is, what we mean when we say that, and how that impacts their lives, and why it's important to fight for the values that make America so special. Why it is that you came to this country seeking opportunity for you and your family, and that system that has been in place for such a long time has been eroded by some of the legislation that our leaders have been promoting. And what is that system? The ability to start your own business, the ability for you to, find your maximum potential and reach your potential and your family's potential by working hard and by doing the right things in this country. You'll get ahead. And I think that's what most Latino families want for themselves and for their children. And, just to talk about another issue, educational choice, that's a big one. That's one of those issues that is sort of 60+% across the board. People want good educational options for their children. And so these are issues that we talk about, and it resonates.
It's always interesting that in the economic conversation that we have, and no matter where I am, it pivots back to school choice constantly and consistently. I mean, that is not the focus of our conversation.
Yeah.
But every single time, in almost like clockwork, it comes back to that conversation. Any reason?
It's because at the end of the day, that when we talk to people, we're focusing on what are the barriers that we need to remove in order for people to reach their full potential. And that's what LIBRE tries to do. Well, sometimes it's, they don't speak English. So we offer English education for people and teach them about the principles and the values through those courses. Sometimes we teach them driver's license courses. When we start talking to families, they tell us right away, I need to provide the best chances for my kids. I sacrifice my dreams by leaving my country to come here and do whatever it takes to get ahead for myself and my family. But I want my children to have those opportunities. And so you start talking about education at that point. What is it going to take? Well, we got to get them out of these failing schools, especially if they're in these urban communities where the system has let them down, and give them the flexibility to go wherever it makes the most sense for them and their family.
Many people are just coming for the better life, and we as a nation have no issue with legal immigration. But you talked about sacrificing their dreams. We don't usually hear that conversation.
Yeah. I grew up in a community surrounded by Cuban exiles. And, my dad, exiled from Cuba here in the late 50s, came from a poor family in Cuba, but still, whatever aspirations he had in Cuba, they were gone the minute that the communist regime took over. And countless people around the world have had to suffer through this. So at that point, you got to make a choice. It's like I either stay in the system or I go to America, which thank God America was 90 miles away from Cuba, where they can have these opportunities to make a life for themselves. But there are folks who sometimes are in countries like Venezuela who are going through this transition, and they give up being an engineer, an attorney, and a doctor to come to America to drive an Uber. But guess what? They would rather be here driving that Uber than in a system that takes away their rights, takes away their ability to get ahead, takes away their property, right? And stifles speech and all the things that we see happen in these socialist regimes. But the same thing happens even in countries that aren't necessarily declared communist or socialist, right? You just reach a ceiling and you realize that your full potential can be achieved there. So you're better, you make the decision willingly to abandon that and come here and start over. And sometimes you don't get to go back to being a doctor, but you're happier doing whatever work you do, earning your success here in America and providing a better life for your family.
What is the impact of border policy? What is the impact of illegal immigration? We can discuss the legal side. We have jobs. We do want to get them filled. That is a rational thing that's been going on for years, and there has to be a way to provide and supply for that. But there is another side of cost here. So depending on how you want to go about it, maybe you want to hit it in a more round robin, what have you, Jose. Talk to me about how a LIBRE initiative talks about the economic cost of immigration, both legal and illegal.
On a higher level, we need to find a way to fix the broken immigration system, which unfortunately I feel like it incentivizes illegal behavior instead of coming here through legal pathways. And that's what we always advocate for, these legal pathways. Some of the things you just mentioned, the fact that we have shortages in certain key high skilled areas, whether it's nurses or certain doctors in rural communities and so on. And we can't fill those jobs, but those jobs are there. And there are talented people all over the world that are certified and qualified that want to do that work. That's a problem, right? Whether it's, we train engineers here that then leave our country and become contributors to economies in other parts of the world when they should be doing it here. So I think that's a big problem. But the illegal issue, it's a huge quality of life issue in border communities. We are very well established in Texas, for example, also in New Mexico, Arizona, and so on. But in Texas, we hear from families that tell us, listen, I've been in this country 30 years. I came here. I follow the rules. I'm a citizen. I worked hard. I'm doing the right thing. I bought my home, and my community now is a disaster because our federal government can't get the system under control. They don't want that for themselves. It creates hardship and danger and all sorts of problems in these communities that are a serious issue. And on top of that, there is a fiscal connection to that, right? Whether it's local services, federal, et cetera. So that's one. I think the other one is that by having this just open like chaos, it also, people who come here, they come here leaving places that are chaotic. They come here leaving places where people don't follow the rules. And they come here because they want to live under the structure that America provides. When you allow this other dynamic to take hold, it just promotes more chaos. And I think that's incredibly discouraging to those that follow the rules, but it also doesn't serve the individuals that are coming over that way well at all.
The whole concept of standards is not that a standard is limiting, but actually a standard sets you free. You know the rules, everybody is following them, and you know how to operate and engage. It's when you have the elimination of standards and nobody knows how to operate that a ruling class or a ruling group, a mob mentality could take hold, saying you didn't listen to the rules when you didn't know what the rules were to begin with. Talking to Jose Mallea, he is the CEO of the LIBRE Initiative. So in this cost conversation, there is the cost to the American taxpayer, what it is that we're paying to seemingly allow illegal immigration to take place. Is it the position of LIBRE that these costs should not be borne by us and therefore a streamlining of immigration policy should happen? Or that there are indeed some costs we should as a nation undertake because there's actually a better value that comes on the other side?
You were to make the right investments on border security, on fixing a system that's been antiquated and hasn't had any real reform since the 1930s. And so I think, like so many things that our government does, when it tries to over-regulate, over-administer, over-manage, over-control, it doesn't work. In fact, it breaks it. And that's what we're seeing, right? And because there has been a lot of investment in this space, but it's not working. So I think the economic impact of the things we talked about, the fiscal impact of the services and all the things that they're doing wrong is going to far exceed the actual investment that could have been made to fix it.
What you hear is that the political left says we shouldn't be stopping people at the border. We should be making sure they get this service. We should be making sure that they get this accommodation. And there's this unlimited amount of money. Then you hear from the political right that says we have veterans who are homeless and we have to be taking care of Americans first. You discussed LIBRE Initiative as reaching out to Hispanic community, to Americans who either come from Central or Southern America, came to America, become citizens or on that path, or those who have some level of descent, some level of connection. Yeah. Where are when you have this conversation with them about the cost structure, is it this massive hurdle to overcome because the perception is the people who are Hispanic are overwhelmingly left? Or is it a conversation that allows you to enter the door where they're like, well, yeah, that is a lot of money?
Yeah. So look, I think there has been a perception for a long time that Hispanic voters tend to vote left only. And I think we are rapidly seeing that disintegrate. There are places where that vote, and we saw it recently in some polling that was done, is getting close to 50% in a generic ballot for Republican candidates in places that Republicans traditionally didn't do as well as they could potentially do in upcoming elections. And that's part of the work that we're doing, is that we're telling Latino voters, hey, listen, you need to make the decision that's best for your family based on these values, if you really believe that these are the values that you care about and that you want to defend. And it doesn't matter what you hear, the rhetoric, you got to educate yourself and inform yourself. So that's what we're trying to do. I do think that movement is happening because there is an alignment with the people that come here wanting to protect freedom, opportunity, and wanting to get ahead in life. Now, what you were saying is true. The progressive left is hammering these other statements. and hammering these other messages and saying they don't care about you, they hate you, and all they want to do is, put you in whatever, incarcerate you when you come across the border, all these other things, or yelling at the top of their lungs, we need more benefits, we need more of this. I still, to this day, and I live in Miami, very dynamic, very immigrant community, and I've traveled the country for LIBRE, and I've lived in New York City as a kid. I have never met one immigrant that has told me I came to America looking for benefits. I always meet people that tell me I came to America looking for opportunity. And what I would tell someone that ever told me, hey, I came to America looking for benefits, I'm like, well, you came to the wrong place. You need to get on an airplane and fly to Spain. Because if you land in Spain and the European system, they'll gladly give you all the benefits you want, but there'll be a limit to how far you could get ahead in life in that country, right? And I have family there, and we have this conversation all the time. But I think here, most Hispanic voters, but just Hispanic families, don't want handouts. They don't want and they don't want to see this, what's happening, for example, in New York City and so on. And funny enough, the progressive left, you couldn't get more progressive than the government of New York City. And now they're the ones that are saying, hey, enough. Hey, this is a disaster. We've been let down by the federal government, and they are right. But at the same time, they are the ones who have created these problems by creating these perverse incentives that you're sort of guaranteed a right to housing the minute you arrive. That is the worst thing you could do for someone. And frankly, it's unsustainable. And that system is starting to collapse in those cities. So we need to get in front of this quickly and make sure that we're addressing the chronic problem that is border security before we could then get to addressing some sort of solutions to the legal system.
Jose Mallea, he's the CEO of the LIBRE Initiative. I appreciate you taking the time.